What's going on, everyone? ProtoPawn here, back with another Pokemon type tier list. Today we're going to be covering the Fairy type, and full disclosure, this is probably my least liked type in the entire game. There are things I appreciate about it, like it being super effective against Dragon is really nice. Dragon needed that third thing to hit it, seeing how one of its super effective against it is itself. So that was nice. I appreciate that. Dark typing, that makes a lot of sense for Fairy to be super effective at. Fairies flutter around at night. They're unaffected by the darkness. It makes sense. What doesn't really make sense to me is why Fairy is super effective against fighting type. Like, I looked it up online, and the reasoning that they gave it is, in my opinion, kind of just stupid. The cuteness and timid nature of fairies quell the tempered and strong spirit of fighting Pokemon, causing them to be weak and impotent. Uh, that's just stupid. I feel like if anything, fairies could be resistant against fighting, but to say that the fighting type just becomes weak all of a sudden, maybe they, have the lack to fight against something like this. So like they're kind of throwing their punches, they're not giving it their all. So resistance to fighting type makes sense for fairies. Why fairies are super effective in hitting them is stupid. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Fairy typing has only been out for 3 generations now. It came out back in Gen 6, and they had to work backwards and start giving things in the past, the fairy typing, to catch them up in how many fairy types are available in the game. And some things absolutely make sense to have the fairy typing, and other things are like, okay, whatever, you gave it to it, and it's neither here nor there. Um, Even though again, I don't really like the fairy typing as a typing to begin with. Like, I don't mind it being here. It's just not one of my favorites. Again, it's like my least liked type. There are still Pokemon in the list, in the roster, that I do like, despite it having fairy typing. It's usually because the way they look. Again, that's kind of the whole premise of this tier list, is basing things off of how I like their looks or whatever. It's not so much about in-game compatibility or in-game strength, right? Um, but anyway, let's just get into it, guys. Rant's kind of been going on for a little bit too long here. So, first and foremost, Clefable. Clefable is probably the Clefairy-Clefable line makes the most sense to give the fairy typing. It should have had it in the beginning if they would have thought to create the fairy typing way back when. This absolutely makes sense. Um, I don't mind this Pokemon. I used it on a playthrough of Shield where I did a full team of just stone evolutions, and I needed a fairy typing, and Clefable was great. I liked using it. It was good. I'm gonna put it in B tier because I think the overall looks of it, like, it's decent. It's not like super tremendous, but it's decent. I appreciate it. Moving on, the Alolan Ninetales. Oh man, this could end up going up to S tier, but let's just put it into A tier now. I really like the way they redid Ninetales here. Dropping the fire typing, giving it the ice and fairy typing makes a good amount of sense. So um, it's very majestic in my opinion. Very, very majestic here. Let's move on. Wigglytuff. Now, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff, they kept them normal, but they slapped the fairy typing on it just because it was pink. And in this case, I don't mind it so much. It still makes a good amount of sense. I'm glad they didn't just make it pure fairy like they did with Clefairy and Clefable, so that's pretty good. Uh, I've actually never used a Jigglypuff or Wigglytuff in any playthrough. I find them, okay. It's something to catch to fill the decks with, but I mean, I do like the eyes and whatever, but I think I like Clefable a little bit better. Um, this will probably move somewhere down here in B tier. Um, but it's a fine design Pokemon. I don't mind it. Moving on, technically before we get to Mr. Mime, Wheezing, the Galarian Wheezing. I like the design of it. It's a nice Sir, as you know, top hats and all. It's a good Sir Pokemon. I don't know if I would put it A tier though, but I definitely like it better than these two. So let's put the Galarian Wheezing right there for now. Moving on. Now we have. I think we actually have Mr. Mime. Should be on this list somewhere here. I don't know why they gave the fairy typing to Mr. Mime, in all honesty, but it's either bottom of B or somewhere at the top of C. Like, it's a decently designed Pokemon. It's just a weird guy. I'm gonna put him at the top of C. I never really liked this guy all that much. I didn't think he was like terrible, but it just didn't really hit very well for me. Anyway, moving on, we have Togekiss. Togekiss is alright. I always thought Togetic was probably the better designed out of... I mean, Togepi is Togepi, whatever, but like, I always thought Togetic was a little bit better in the design factor. Obviously, we know that competitively, Togekiss here, very good Pokemon, but I don't really care for the design all that much. I think it is a little bit better than Clefable, so we'll put it right here. I definitely like the Galarian Wheezing better. So there's that. Moving on, we have Azumarill, which this was, again, one of those lines where it's like, okay, it was pure water, and the baby form Azurill was normal, and they dropped the normal and made it into water later on and added the fairy. So I don't know. I've always liked Azumarill. Regardless, again, they slapped the fairy typing on it later, but I always liked Azumarill. I don't think it's A tier worthy, but I definitely think it's going to go to the top of B tier currently on this list. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair for it. Moving on, we have Granbull. Again, Snubbull and Granbull, Gen 2 Pokemon. It started off as a pure normal typing, and then they switched it to a pure fairy typing. Despite it being fairy typing, this is one of those cases where I actually like the design of the Pokemon regardless. But I think B tier is still where it's going to be at, right under Galarian Wheezing. I still think I like Galarian Wheezing's design better. Moving on, we have Gardevoir and Glade. Again, Glade's not fairy typing though, so I don't know why I put him in here. It was just because they go in tandem, but the difference between Gardevoir and Glade is they're both psychic, but they both get different things, right? But they gave the fairy typing to a pure psychic type before, and Glade was a psychic who got the fighting type, and then later on when fairy was added, they gave fairy typing to this. Gardevoir, of course, is a A tier Pokemon. We're not even gonna stress that. I think the Alolan Ninetales looks better though, design wise. I mean, this is a perfectly elegant design. Don't get me wrong. I do like Gardevoir. Really good design overall. Moving on, we have Mawile, who originally was just Steel, I believe, and later on gave the fairy typing to it. I like Mawile. I think it's pretty decent design. We're gonna start scooching these things down. I know I don't like it as much as Galarian Wheezing, but do I like it better than Granbull's design? Probably not. Let's give Granbull right here, and then we'll give Mawile right here next to it. Definitely like it better than Togetic's design, or Togekiss's design, I should say. Moving on, we've got Whimsicott here. Yeah, so Cottony Whimsicott Grass Fairy. Not not a bad design. It's cute. Um, it's cute enough. I think maybe top of C tier so far. Like, I definitely like its design better than Mr. Mime's, so we'll put it there. I don't really have too much to say about it. I've never used these before, but just basing it off a pure like design, it looks good. Uh, moving on, we've got what is it? Florges here. Florges is a really good design. Again, it is actually, this is pure fairy. You would almost think it would have grass typing to it. It's pure fairy. Again, never used one. Basing this based off of just pure design here. It's very elegant looking. Um, Probably gonna stick it like this. We'll do it that way. I like it. I know it's not the greatest. Again, competitively, I don't think it's that great. I could be wrong, but again, I've never used one before. But again, this is mostly based off of just design of the Pokemon, and I think right here is pretty fair for it. So we can move on now. This Aromatisse, Sprigatese, I like. Sprigatese is a cute little fairy, and then it evolves into Aromatisse, and this thing is just disgusting looking. Um, I don't mind it so much to put it into D tier, but it's gonna reside here in C tier for sure. Slurpuff, it's like everything has like just I don't know. Slurpuff is just goofy looking. I keep going back and forth of which one of these I dislike more. Slurpuff just I feel like they needed to let this thing cook a little bit more or something. Like the design of it just kind of feels like literally melted together. So I don't know. I think that's probably at least fair enough for it. Is somewhere in C tier. Moving on. Oh boy, I've been dreading getting to this part of the the list. Sylveon EV evolutions, and everybody loves EV evolutions. Sylveon, oh my goodness, just I get it. It's a special attacking thing. I it for an EV evolution, it's a fine design. It's not in C tier, guys. I like a lot, if not every other EV evolution design, far more than this thing. Maybe with the yeah, probably. I mean, Flareon's pretty close to. I mean, it's very basic and bland, but I can't, in good faith, put this anywhere lower than B tier. I like Mawile and higher just as a Pokemon in general better. We can put it there. Middle of B tier-ish range. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I can live with that. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Dedenne, guys, where did we put this in the electric tier list? I think it was like C tier or something. Yeah, it's definitely C tier. In my electric type, it resided at the low end of C tier, but in this one, we're actually going to move them up through the ranks of C tier, surprisingly. I think Whimsicott is probably a little bit better. I cannot in good faith put this thing lower than these two for sure. I think it's cute enough to definitely beat out Mr. Mime, so we can put it there. All right, moving forward, we've got Carbink, and I know this kind of bounced around between C tier and D tier on my rock type tier list. I think it definitely looks more like a rock type than a fairy type. So I think I know it ended up in D tier last time. I think it's gonna end up in D tier here again this time, just because it really doesn't look. You know what? No, I changed my mind. In this tier list, the design of it at least looks better than these two. Um, I'll put it here. It's gonna move up a tier for the fairy type tier list, guys, for sure. Definitely looks better than these two things. Goodness gracious. All right, moving on. Probably the dumbest Pokemon ever created. The alive keychain of keys. Uh, this thing, Klefki is just I don't know why. I don't get it. I know it's Steel Fairy. Like okay, cool. This is just D tier. I could probably make an argument. No, I mean there's a couple things that are going to reside in here. This is probably going to be the bottom of D tier though. We'll put it here for now because I don't think too many things are actually going to end up in D tier. So we'll move on from here. Next we've got Xerneas. Xerneas is A tier for sure. Um, it's interesting looking. I'll probably put it right next to. I like these two definitely better. So obviously we're gonna put this here for now. I don't really have too much to say about Xerneas. It's a fine looking Pokemon. It's pure fairy. Uh, it looks nice. I really don't have much more to say over than that. Next, we have Diancie, and I'm pretty sure Diancie in the rock type was, I think, at the top of C tier. For this list, I think I actually like its design a little bit better when it comes to the fairy typing, but not by much. I think I like it a little bit more than Wigglytuff here. I don't know. You know what? No, it's gonna go right back where it was in the rock type tier list. At the top of C tier, it's just Wigglytuff is simple in design and it's good looking and I like it. It's like Slurpuff. It's like there's not much going for it like these two, but like this just looks weird. I like these. Diancie, I think is fine sitting at the top of C tier. It'll probably be the thing that leads C tier through the rest of this video, more than likely. So, moving on, we've got. All right, here we go. An actual good Pokemon. Primarina is a very good Pokemon all around. Water Fairy. It looks great. It's probably going to sit in S tier for me. Very well designed Pokemon. I really, there's not much more you can say about this. It is a very well, it's to the, again, fairy typing I really don't like, but it is one of the best typings in the game because of what it does to Dragon. And water typing, as we all know, is one of the best typings in the game as well for the longest time. It's my favorite typing, water typing. This is just a really good designed Pokemon, all in all around. Moving on, we've got Rabombi, Bug, Fairy. This is the Pokemon that looks like a fairy the most because it's literally a little pixie. I don't think it's going to be A tier worthy, but at least it fits the description of a fairy type Pokemon design wise. You know what? I think A tier is fine for it, in all honesty. I'm going to go just based off of theme. They pulled off the theme of this very well. Is it a good competitive Pokemon? By no means. But can I put it in good faith, put it above it? No, you know what? Okay, Azumarill's coming up to A tier at least. Because I like Azumarill a lot, the design. We'll do this. That's fine. All this can move up for now. I cannot put it in good faith just based off of pure design because I definitely like Azumarill better than this.
The thing about it, though, is that I'd much rather use a Clefable on my team before a Rabombi. This is an odd one out, guys. We're just gonna call this an odd one out. I'm only putting it at A tier for the aesthetics of the concept of the Pokemon. It looks like a fairy the most, and for that, we'll put it in A tier. Um, yeah, I'd still probably use Grand Bull or Mawile or Weezing and definitely Clefable before I would ever use a Rabombi. Actually, probably anything in B tier I would probably use before Rabombi, but I have to put Rabombi up here purely for the the concept behind it. It fits the most. All right, let's move on to how do you say this thing? Shinotic. Oh my goodness. It's like it's peering into your soul. It's very creepy. We'll put him at the bottom of C. This is creepy and just weird and whatever, but I think right there in between the two is fine with me. I don't have anything to really say about this. This is where it belongs. Comfy. Oh my goodness. I'm just looking at everything here real quick. I don't think anything else on this list is going to go into D tier. This is just, in my opinion, these two are such lazy designs for Pokemon. Like, oh, it's a ring of flowers. It's a it's a fairy. No thanks. And the key, absolutely not. Moving on. Just moving on. Mimikyu, oh, everybody loves Mimikyu. I'm going to put it in C tier for sure. It is ghost type, and I do love my ghost types, and it definitely isn't as weird as these, so it's going to be in C tier. It's just going to move up the ladder past... here. We'll put it here. We'll put it right there. I think that's fair. Tapu Koko, as we had it in our electric, I believe... Where did I put this thing in electric? I forget. This resides definitely in B tier. It's a really good design. Let's grab... Hold on. Whatever, let's just move them down manually. I was going to try to grab them all, but... Yeah, this is where things are going to get... I like it. It's a good design. Top B tier. Very, very well designed Pokemon. Electric Fairy, cool. We're going through all the Tapus right now. Tapu, which one is this? Coco. Still fairly good design. It's probably my... No, Tapu Bulu is gonna be... Like, it's interesting, I get it. It's like a bowl. It's, what is it? It's fairy grass, which, okay. They could have done, like, fairy ground. I think that would have made more sense, but whatever. I think this is definitely the weakest design out of the Tapus, and I can't actually, in good faith, put it in B tier. I like all these other designs. Even a lot of these in like their simplicity look better than this thing. But I think it's at least interesting enough to land it in the second spot in C tier for the time being. Now we can go on to my favorite Tapu. It's Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini definitely deserves A tier. Again, fairy water. And yeah, I don't really know what to say so much apart from... Where do I want to put this in A tier? I mean, I actually really like this thing's design. Hold on. You know what? we're going to do a little bit of switching around. I think this deserves for the fairy typing to be up here. I actually like this thing's design more than Xerneas, so this is going to be probably like here. Tapu Fini, I think is S tier worthy for the fairy type. Again, it's water. I mean, this is fairy water too, Azumarill, but it's good in its simplicity of design. These two definitely up here. Definitely deserve S tier. I do like Tapu Fini. Again, I've never used a Tapu Fini before, but I think this is balanced because now we have a Tapu in each of the top 4 categories. Fini, you know, Bulu here. I think this is right. This feels right as far as spreading them out. I think that's pretty good. What is this thing called again? This is Magnirma, Magirna. No, Magirna. Yeah, Magirna. Magirna, I know a lot of people don't like, but I actually like this. I think it's A tier worthy. It's an interesting design. Steel Fairy. I think they did a lot better than this Klefki by leaps and bounds with this thing. I think that's fair. This is going to be like definitely at the bottom of A tier for sure. I think this is fair. I think that's a pretty good, fair spot for that. I don't have much to say because, again, I've never used one before, but based off of its pure design, I do like it. I think it's pretty good right there. We can move on, though. Let's get moving on to the Hatterene. Actually, I forgot. Rapidash. I forgot Rapidash back when we started this because Rapidash is a Gen 1 remake. Galarian Rapidash looks good. I'll put it in A tier. I'll put it here. I'm not super crazy about it, but it does aesthetically look really good, so we'll put it there. Hatterene, okay, Hatterene. This is, I'm not gonna say S tier worthy, but I like this a lot. Gen 8 did pretty good on this thing's design. I still like Galarian, or not Galarian, Alolan Ninetales better for sure. I think this is pretty fair. I like it. It's really solid. Alright. Grim Snarl. S tier. Easy S tier for me. I love dark typing. Very dark. I think they pulled this off very well. Think that's a pretty good spot for him right now. Second place. I could almost make a case that it might be more than Primarina, but let's move on real quick. All creamy. All right, all creamy. I kind of put into the same thought process as Slurpuff, Aromatisse, because these things just came later generations, but the difference is all creamy is leaps and bounds better than a lot of these things design-wise. It's very cute, like the ice cream. Just it is a really fun design idea. Where am I going to actually put it? It's not S tier worthy. I'm trying to debate if it's A tier worthy. You know what? I think it is A tier worthy. Because I definitely like it a lot better. Well, I did say anything in B tier I technically would like better than this, and I'm only placing this here because of the theme. So maybe it's not A tier worthy, but I definitely like it a lot better than some of these. I think actually probably right here. Yeah. I think that's good. Because I definitely like Mawile better. I'd much rather use an all creamy than a Sylveon. I'm sorry. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah, I think that's good. Moving on, we have the the first of the dog duo here, Zacian. I'm only using this. I'm using this because it's pure fairy. Um, if we ever do a pure fighting type tier list, I'll do the same thing with uh, Zamazenta or however you say the other one's name. Um, Zacian here, definitely A tier worthy for sure. I think I like it better than Xerneas, but I don't think I like it better than Tapu Coco. So yeah, I think that's pretty decent. If we ever do a Steel type tier list, I will of course bring this in for that. I mean, I haven't been doing certain things like Arceus because it's just Arceus is normal to begin with. Zacian is fairy to begin with, and then he adds the steel. It's the same reason why I'm not doing megas because things lose certain typings or gain certain typings. I'm not putting megas on these lists. But with the dog duo, I'm gonna make exceptions because the form is different, but it's the same Pokemon. Just holding an item, but as a pure fairy typing, I think this is a good spot for him. I like it. Enamorous, or however the heck you say this thing, the 4th edition to the Weather Trio. Now it's a Weather Quadro or whatever. I don't mind this thing's design. I think it's actually pretty good looking. It's kind of like it kind of reminds me of like a snake charmer. I cannot get Gardevoir for the life of me. Let's do this. I like it a little bit better than Xerneas. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, I think, in my opinion. Alright, and now we're in the final stretch, guys, and we have Gen 9 going on here, and boy, do we have some good stuff and some not so good stuff. Let's start off here with the Dash Bun. It's cute. I will say it's cute. I think Tapu Bulu is a little bit more interesting design-wise. But I think we're gonna put the Dash Bun right here. 3rd spot in C tier. I don't think it can get really any higher. It is pretty basic, but it is really cute because it's like a whole pastry thing. Not much more to say about it. Tinkaton is a fairly decent design. It's cute and silly all at the same time. There's this little tiny fairy carrying around this giant hammer, and I think that deserves B tier. I think I like it right in between Clefairy, or Clefable, I should say, and Wigglytuff. I think that's probably where that's going to have to reside for sure. Screamtail. This is interesting because this doesn't like evolve, I don't think, into like because it's a Jigglypuff remake, right? I think this looks really good design-wise. But it's going to be B tier. It's going to be higher in B tier. I definitely would rather still use a Mawile, but I think I would absolutely use this before an all creamy. So I think right here in the middle of B tier is pretty good for it. Moving on, S tier. You guys know I love Gen 2, and this is a remake of, Misdreavus, and I love Misdreavus. And again, Ghost Fairy. This is good. Ghost Fairy, Ghost Fairy. Gimmicky is all heck. Everybody likes it because of its gimmick. Just better design right here. Pure better design. Um, we'll worry about placing S tiers and rearranging them more at the end here. Same thing with Iron Valiant. This is good. It's taking Glade and Gardevoir, putting them together and making them really cool together. Iron Valiant, definite S tier. And moving on to the last thing here, I am not even going to try to pronounce this thing's name. It's interesting enough. I think it's pretty interesting. Poison Fairy. Um, I'm trying to base it. It's gonna be in B tier, and I'm gonna try to base it off of like how much I would use this thing. Poison Fairy is interesting typing. That is a really interesting typing. I think I'd probably use it more than an all creamy. So again, we're going to move this up. I think I would probably still use this Screamtail before it. So I'll put this right here in the middle of B tier. I think it's interesting enough design-wise. So that's at least A through D tier sorted out. Let me try to see how I can sort out S tier and my favorite designs here. Um, I think Grimmsnarl is just going to have to go to the top here. I like it. I like the dark type. I think Primarina is good here. I do like, I mean, these are both water fairy, but I think I'm going to put my Misdreavus remake here in third place. Then, man, Iron Valiant, Fighting Fairy. Yeah, it's a remake of Glade. Done really well. I think that's gonna be it. I think that's gonna be my S tier from top, most liked to least. But these are really good. These are bangers. I really like these. Definitely top 5 fairies of all time for me, for sure. Um, you know what? I'm sorry. Gen 2 remake is a little bit more outpacing the Primarina. All right, guys, that is my fairy type tier list. Thank you so much for tuning into this this tier list. This is the third one I've done. Thank you for coming back and checking it out. If you guys if you guys want me to continue doing these, leave down in the comment below which type you would like to see me do next. And of course, put down in a comment who is your favorite fairy type. Tell me why, or don't. But let me know what you guys' favorite fairy type is. Um, Guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you guys like this content, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel or you just haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified each and every time one of my videos drops. That way you can get in on the action as soon as it's happening. Uh, Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. And until next time, stay safe out there. Take care. I'm ProtoPawn. Peace.